Thanks for stopping by KnoxPriest.com. Today I'm talking about the preparation process that happens before a Sunday sermon is preached. And for my own process, I've got to say there's no science to it. There's no math. It's not a formulaic kind of thing. It is a mystery to me. The process can look very different from one sermon to the next because of the particular scripture reading or readings, because of what's taking place in the church, in the world, that I might need to address or integrate. And so it is a mystery, and I've given up trying to figure out what is the best way, because simply the best way is being present in the moment with the scripture and trusting that God will speak. Some weeks I start out and I say, Lord, I've got nothing. Today's Tuesday, and if I have a sense of the direction by Tuesday, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling confident. Sometimes Thursday rolls around and I don't have a sense of that direction, and I begin to get nervous. But there's always usually purpose, even if God hasn't revealed it at that point. That may mean that I've actually done already a lot of study, a lot of prayer, and for some reason I may not have a sense of the direction that God is going with the sermon that He wants me to share. Ultimately, God always does speak. It's not necessarily going to be according to my timing, but He does speak. One of the places that I feel that He speaks the most, and this is so important to my process, is actually in the writing. I write manuscripts. I preach not verbatim word for word, but I do use a manuscript. And I find that I don't overstudy, I don't over-research, because actually when I begin writing, that is one of the ways I hear the Spirit speaking. So things can change quite a bit when I write into the first, second, third, fourth paragraphs. For me, that is a prayerful listening process. Not everybody's going to be like that, but that's the way it is for me. This being Tuesday, I have been listening to the story that I'm preaching on Sunday since last Thursday. And the story that I'm going to be focusing on this Sunday is John chapter 9, when a man who was born blind is healed by Jesus and confesses Him as Lord. I'm not worried about saying all that I see or discover from my own study from other writers, because that's just not possible in one morning. There is always more to discuss, always more that could be shared. My task, my calling, is to share the one central thing that needs to be shared, and that takes a full sermon length to do and share just the one central message of the story. And so staying focused on that one thing means that I need to have a prayerful mind and attitude throughout. So I might discover a lot of things that are really interesting that I can't use, and that's okay. And a lot of times there's a lot that I just can't use because it would be too much. Learning when to let go of those things is something that I've grown into. Hopefully it's been helpful for people at Apostles. But ultimately, I try to have everything done by Thursday, because I want to spend a few days with my family, not just thinking about a sermon, but to actually have it in draft form done by Thursday evening. Because I think spending time with my family is key to preparing for worship. So there's a lot that goes into a sermon preparation process. And it's not just the task of one person. It should be the prayerful process for one person from beginning to middle to the delivery of the sermon, but it really requires a whole church, those that will be listening, to be praying for their pastor throughout the week. So this is a word from God, not a word from a human being only, but a word from God spoken through a human being. So that's a little bit of insight into my process and how I'm going this week. If you're in Knoxville, I invite you to come out and hear the final version of the sermon. If you're elsewhere, then check into KnoxPriest.com, and I'll upload the final version on Sunday. And come check back in from time to time, and I'll have more videos where I talk about this process, very interesting process, and learn a little bit more about how God uses everyone to shape a sermon.